Recently I was on an IFR flight out of Burlington, Vermont, and it was a VFR day, but we were an actual IFR flight plan. And we were given a clearance to basically fly the Burlington One SID out of there on runway 19. Basically going to be getting vectors to the Montpelier, Vermont VOR, and then on from there to Laconia, New Hampshire Airport. So we departed and we climbed out straight ahead, roughly on a 220 heading per the tower clearance, to about maybe 2 miles off the end of the departure end of runway 19. And then we were cleared switched over to Burlington Departure, and they immediately cleared us to fly direct to the Montpelier, Vermont. So we put up the Montpelier, Vermont VOR, hit direct, and flew GPS in the direction of the Montpelier, Vermont. Well, as we were flying it, we noticed we had a large mountain in front of us, 4,088 feet, roughly 4,100 feet, right off the nose of our plane. And as we climbed, I was a little bit concerned that we really weren't getting the climb that we should to give the obstacle clearance I expected, roughly 2,000 feet by the time we got over the top of that mountain. So we adjusted our heading just a little bit so we wouldn't be going right over the peak of it. And we passed that mountain off our right side by probably about 1,000 feet. I estimated at that time we're about 5,000 feet. So we would have cleared it if we'd gone directly over it, but not with the 2,000 feet I expected with an Oroka. But anyways, we had no issues. It was, again, VFR day. We could clearly see the mountain, and we would have certainly passed over it, but again, not as high as I would have thought. So I came back to the Laconia Airport and I decided I'd get on the Redbird simulator or flight school and try two scenarios. When I look back at what rate of feet per minute we were climbing at and compared that to what the SID, Burlington One SID had required for runway 19, I knew there was a discrepancy, or I saw that there was a discrepancy. The Burlington One SID said have a gradient climb rate of 345 feet per nautical mile. Based on our ground speed of roughly 90 knots, we should have been climbing roughly around 500 feet per minute. And I knew we were climbing more like 300 or 400 feet per minute on our climb out because we were flying approximately 20% faster than VY, somewhere around 95 knots equivalent versus 79 for VY or 87 in an en route climb for the aircraft we were flying. So I decided to go back and try it on the simulator, Redbird simulator, and fly it first at that higher VY speed of 20% faster, and then fly it again at more of a VY speed as per the POH in the aircraft. And sure enough, there was a significant difference when we cleared that mountain. So I'm going to show you in the next couple of video clips flying the simulator with that higher VY airspeed, or 20% higher than the VY airspeed, versus flying it at VY. And you'll find the results quite interesting and basically a good message to learn that when you're flying these SIDs, make sure you're not just flying the route and the altitude requirements, but climbing at the climb gradient that's been assigned. All right, here I've set up to fly out of Burlington, Vermont on runway 19. Okay, I'm taking off runway 19, climbing out initially at VY. And then eventually as I go on, I'm going to start dipping my nose down and climbing at a rate of about 95 knots and turning over to the left to head directly to the Montpelier VOR. And you can see the mountain right off the nose of my plane, maybe at about 11 o'clock. And here you can see I'm climbing at about 95 knots. On the foreflight, you can see that I'm climbing toward that mountain. I'm at about 3,800 feet. And again, about 95 knots. And you can see the mountain directly off my nose. Okay, as you can see, I'm getting closer to the mountain and I'm gaining altitude. I'm almost at 5,000 feet. And again, still climbing at 95 knots, and you can see from foreflight that I'm close to the mountain peak. About 93 knots, 92 knots, about 5,400, climb about 300 feet per minute. Okay, I'm taking off runway 19 again. Now going to be climbing at 79 knots for initial climb out, and then 87 knots, which is the en route climb for us to climb out at. And basically we're getting told here by ATC to go ahead and you're cleared direct to the Montpelier VOR. And now we're going to start turning to the left, as you can see there, and we're basically going to be heading directly toward the mountain. But again, we're now climbing at 87 knots. 87 cruise climb, climbing at about 600 feet per minute. Direct heading. Okay, we're continuing our climb. We're about 4,300 feet. And we are approaching that mountain, which is about 4,088 feet. And from floor flight, we look like we're going to be at a much higher altitude as we cross over the peak of that mountain. We'll still see we're climbing about 500 feet per minute at about 79 to 87 knots, right on course. And again, looking at fore flight, we're getting closer to that mountain peak. And here we are at just over 7,000 feet at about VY, or about 79 knots. Still climbing about 400 to 500 feet per minute. And we're right over the top of it. And we're clearing this mountain by about 3,000 feet. So the next time you're flying a SID, make sure you check out the required gradient climb rate and that your aircraft can do it. If not, let ATC know. If you climb at the appropriate climb gradient rate, you're going to have no problems clearing any obstacles along your departure path out of that airport. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you get notified of my next video.